And for some reason, Team Endpoint have already won the first series. That's just a visual bug. Don't worry about that. Because, of course, this is the first game of our series between these two legends of the UK scene, these two titans who played up against each other in the last season finals. And went FM's way, and now another chance for them to show dominance once more. Team Endpoint, of course, looking for that 2-0 to move into third place. Otherwise, they are still in fourth. They'll have to play against FM eSports once more when we get to the playoffs.
Either way, though, Weber, you've not talked about him. Well, you've missed a pretty big point there right now as 4 players have scored right past him, and he finds one, looks to go in for the second, and he's doing just enough to really be a distracting element. Is going to fall, but he slowed down Endpoint so much that the CT side already quick on the heels. Pulse going to decapitate Ezio easier than anything he's ever achieved before, as it is going to be a quick response to at least coming from one, but Stanley, all these guys pride, really just doing the work on towards Stods, and bit by bit, the jumbled up round all favours FM eSports to get themselves that pistol. Endpoint, a bit of an odd one there.
Yeah, no, I did miss it. I would love to know how Weber managed to get his way in. Maybe a smoke allowed him to sneak on up, get on in forward. Pretty incredible stuff by FM to be able to take that so cleanly. And lost 2 of their members, but the rotates were so quick for themselves. Now here for this team, FM with that lead now on the CT side. The UMPs come out, we see them upgrade all 5 all the time, just looking to try and build up that economy for themselves. For Endpoint, already on this downhill battle, uphill battle. It's falling down the hill.
You're a man of hills right now. I don't even know.
I love hills.
What is up with it? You disappeared for about 10 minutes
Mountains.
during the break. Are you okay? Have you had a bit of a moment outside? Let's go for a bit of a...
I walked up the mountain.
Did you encounter some
in the
issues?
mountain.
Goddamn mountains, man. No one likes a mountain.
I love a mountain.
Pulse, UMP, this is a rabbit hole and a half. Let's not jump down it, Lou. Head first is going to be the narrative for FM, at least. That's something we can draw towards, right? As it is going to be them in the crossfire setup. Over on towards the A-site, ready to be the greeting party for Endpoint. As they are going to be going pistols first. Ready to look for these shots. The Eagle of Mighty Max is going to try and bend its way around on towards Long. It could try and find that opening headshot on towards Weber. But with a UMP, that is going to be a bit more of a tougher one. With Nilzinho just going to be ever so patient.
Endpoint feel a little bit lost here, don't they? They're trying to prod and poke. They're trying their best to fake and out. But they're about to walk into Weber here. And of course, they've got Stanley very close at that old car position. Pulse there as well. Just to spray down with his UMPs, and it's disastrous here. Mighty Max with a deagle might be able to find 2, and he will. Okay, a fighting chance. He doesn't upgrade his gun, though. Not walking over those UMPs. Just trying to get him, but another deagle shot. Mighty Max, insane stuff here. Insane scenes as he finds his third. He needs a clutch if he's going to find this round for himself, and just the deagle in hand. The bomb has been planted. Another for Mighty Max. I didn't even see Frey so far back, and now this one-on-one will not go his way. 4 frags and a bomb plant. Incredible scenes, but unfortunately not incredible enough for the round win.
FM close, so damn close, but they get themselves that second. And this is where it all begins.
It's not about FM, that's just about Endpoint.
It was a wacky one, I think that's got to be said, right? But there's one big difference here, and that's where the rounds go, right? That's what counts. Frags are one thing, but rounds are a whole different narrative in itself. 2-0 for FM. They have the rifles, they have the weaponry, but Endpoint, at least they have that same sort of thing, right? So that's where it is about Endpoint now. That's where you can bring it back. Yes, they had some big flaws, and it was very, very obvious in the second round where it all went wrong. But instead of focusing on that and getting almost sideblinded by that play, let's look at this first buy, because this really is where the real men get decided, where the real play gets made, where the players will set themselves apart.
It's going to be the first frag for Mighty Max as he continues this dominance that he's been showing so far here. Flakes, this site on B starting to look a little bit more empty and open, but Endpoint aren't going to take the bait. In fact, they're rotating, they're forcing the rotate from FM, and they're going towards A. Mighty Max finds another, and it's Nilzinho's head this time. Weber trying to fight back, but Endpoint, they've been revitalized off that incredible deagle play, and Fry's caught reloading his UMP. It's all on Pulse in a 1 versus 5. The bomb to be planted on A, and Pulse has nothing left. Defuse kit picked up off one of his dead comrades, but he has a uphill battle, trying his best to find the first. He will, but it's a second with a quick turn onto E, and he transfers the spray perfectly on that M4. But can he even consider entering the site of A here against 3 more? The defuse kit's there, but it's just exit frags he asks for.
Yeah, getting those exit frags would be ideal, but at the same time, for Endpoint, they're looking to deny that, right? They're being smart here. They're thinking, okay, Pulse, he's going to save that M4, but if he takes us down and gets to do damage on towards us, that's actually more value for him than it's worth for us to stop him from having just one M4 in this round. So Endpoint, a good play from them. They're just going to sit tight. They're going to keep themselves their core composition in terms of allowing it to be intact. They can rebuy into this round fairly comfortable, save some money in the bank as well on 3 of their players. And it means that Endpoint, they get that start.
I love the quick rotate from B to A, just forcing the thin defense that was on the A side, and you know there were some misplays from FM, sure, but Endpoint were able to capitalize off them. The first round on the board, like you say, and now looking for more here as they take control of both mid and second mid. The first goes to Ian on to Fry. That's not a great start for FM here. Team Endpoint, they just suddenly come alive on Inferno. I do believe this would be a map that they would pick on up here, try and throw that spanner into the works for sure. My assumption is that it was theirs, but perhaps it is FM who brought it into this one, and Endpoint just want to finish on that Mirage. Either way, it seems that these teams are ready for it. They're ready to fight on it. It's a much more interesting matchup than our previous here. Now Ezio's looking to try and make the damage work. Weber in the boiler room going to get spotted out. A quick flick and he finds the frag. That's the second. Snod's able to secure that one with the M4. And the A site's wide open. They haven't lost a member, and it's only Stanley and Pulse to try and bring this one back. I don't think they can. They're going to look to hold on to their guns here. Look for the exit frags. Clean up any mess that Endpoint has left around the map. But there is no mess. Endpoint are intact.
And that's the beauty of it. Endpoint, a great round, and really couldn't be perfectly timed. It couldn't be any better of a position for them right now, because if they did this in the next buy, for example, sure, it would have held value, it would have built up their economy, but allowing FM to not have to save anything at all really forces them to spend each and every dollar they get. And that's really good for Endpoint. There's no better way of saying it. Just keep it crystal clear. They do get one frag, though, as it is going to be Ezio to fall, but can't imagine too much else. Rickson, you can see him just trying to hunt one down, of course, seeing, okay, what can I find? A bit of push and shove here, trying to be that Norwegian talent that he is. Pulse can find himself that headshot with the M4 and doing a little bit more than we'd originally hoped for Endpoint. You start to praise them, and that's where they start to crumble.
There's going to be that tied score up now. 2-2 here, and Endpoint with a chance to make it 3 as this buy from FM so weak, as they just don't have the economy to purchase on up here. The UMP, the M4 there from Stanley and Pulse saving it from the previous round. They have a little bit of utility, but not much here. And so now, for them, for Endpoint, a chance to take the lead on this T side.
1 minute 35 on the clock, so still very early into the round as Endpoint, a bit of push and shove here and there. They're trying to see, okay, where can we hit towards? What sort of infection can we wash out? As FM, that infection. 2-2, waiting to see where it is going to be Endpoint to head towards. You can see them very clearly looking towards Banana. As a flash is going to go on over towards mid, trying to pull away a bit of intention from Weber. See, okay, who if FM are going to show their faces? What information are they going to give up? Just on these pistols, of course, very limited in firepower. This means for Endpoint that they know they hold all the cards. It's just about when do they want to play them. As FM going to begin to at least send another player over towards B and kind of mounting it up somewhat. As Rickson going to be that player to throw out their Molotov, and I like how careful Endpoint are being. It really shows the close-knit competitiveness of these two teams. Whereas Endpoint are going no craziness. They're just going to go for a stand and execute smokes, Molotovs, and flashes.
3 members here from FM, but they get overwhelmed by the UMPs, the M4s, the rifles here from Endpoint. Nilzinho up close, just showing his jumping skills, hardcore parkour, but hardcore parkour doesn't win you rounds here, unfortunately. He does make his way close to the site, looking to find a frag, looking to steal a gun, bring it into round 6 here for his team, but it's a hard ask, especially against these rifles, just a USP in hand.
An awkward one for FM now. Unfortunately not able to get too much done at all here. They will take down Rickson, of course. That was something that is there to be found. But at the end of the day, it isn't too positive. You can still Nizino trying to get himself on the bomb at the end of things, saying, okay, gonna be a bit crazy here. Can I try and find myself a sneaky one? But Mighty Max is going to take him down, and that's just another frag to build up for Endpoint as they get themselves equalized on the scoreboard.
Now this round 6, the gun round, the investments from FM, a glass cannon AWP on Weber here. It's a weak buy. There's no diffuse kits and the utility is low. Team Endpoint should have all the tools in the bag to be able to pull through a 4th point on the board, but let's not doubt the ability of FM. Definitely great when it comes to just those individual matchups. The aim strong, and Weber will find Snod's head. He says, I see you, my friend. He spots him out. He didn't go for anyone else. It was like AWP on AWP action right there. Just wanted to make that statement. And it's a strong statement so far from FM. They have that man advantage.
That man advantage going to mean a whole lot for them now. Of course, we talked about that equalization in the scoreboard, but it's not, as easy to understand as it originally meets the eye. The point of that is the idea that Endpoint, yes, they have that 1-round advantage, but this buy can really dictate that. They're either going to run away and get that 4th and break away, or they're going to fall back into place, back into the puzzle, as FM will look to get themselves this 3rd. So a big round. Getting that 1st man advantage for FM is going to be crucial, though. As Endpoint start to be infected somewhat yet again, it comes back to that harping on point. Zimmy looking for the Molotov down on towards this B site, clearly prompting a bit of a favouring for Endpoint. They like to hit the site. But is it going to pay off? Well, the answer is no, because it's actually all but a fake, a bit of a ruse, as they dart up towards A.
It's going to be this push on towards A, as you say. Mighty Max leading the charge already so high on the scoreboard, and another for himself as Ian and Rickson get involved as well. Just Stanley and Pulse on the B site. Nothing for them to do once more. A 2 versus 4 for them. They don't have a defuse kit, so once more looking for frags, and it's just Ian to finish this one off. Sprayed down. He finds 3 that round, and the 4th on the board for Team Endpoint.
FM are not going to be on the pistols this time around, but at the end of the day, you got to beware of the cat. The hidden problem, as these pistols can try and sneak in. A bit of a scratch here and there, cause a bit of roughness. That's what the pistols are good at, right? The CZs, catch you off guard, go a bit aggressive, get that early frag. That's something left to be desired.
You could say the pistols are essentially the toxoplasmosis of the UK scene, just an infection that you don't know is there, but the UK scene continuously getting bit consistently by them. And now we'll have to see if Endpoint will be able to get their NHS appointment ready to check for this hidden infection. Currently so good. They haven't been hurt so far, but they need to continue up this dominance. There's Snods on the AWP, so comfortable, and a 2nd frag for Endpoint. They try to push onto the A site. Nilzinho should be overwhelmed. CZ in hand, but maybe a frag can go his way. No, not today. This should be clean and cut for Endpoint.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a culling coming in from Endpoint. They're doing what they had to do, which is find the frags, get the job done. And they deal with the problem at hand. Stanley and Pulse are still left standing, though, and that's going to be at least a bit of damage here and there as the Deagle derail itself down mid, but Snods with the AWP is too crisp. And he will deny it that action. Stanley, the last man standing. Endpoint starting to really build into their T-side of Inferno. Some great play from them, really starting to build themselves up a bit of a platform, but you kind of have to look to this play and go, is it a bit of a beautiful rainbow in terms of where it starts and where it originates? Is it going to come back? Is it going to haunt FM as they try and come back into play with an advantage? You got to think about it, go, it's up and then down. The harder they rise, the quicker they fall.
Right, it's that 5th point. It's as many as CX were able to get on Inferno, and they started on that T side. Not really to draw parallel much between Endpoint and CX because they're entirely different teams. But it's a good start so far, and it is a strong start on their T side. So many teams have failed to be able to get those points on the board, but Endpoint right now a strong foot in the door. They need to continue it though. This is where teams start to shatter. This round 8, the midpoint of the first half. They can't get any more. The CT side comes back into it.
FM though, going to be somewhat stuck here. Endpoint, you look at the way they're positioned. They're a bit more of a pushing tide, a wall that is forthcoming. But they spread aside that left part. They've gone back down towards the bottom of mid and starting to tip up towards Banana. So a play that we were always looking at and began to identify. The minute we clock on, the minute FM can clock on, Endpoint, they pull it right back, reversing those cogs, bringing it back into play. As for now, with a minute left, there is no rush for them. Pulse, going to be holding tight, looking into that smoke. Stanley, similar story strolling over towards B, but it's nothing too fancy. FM, just kind of getting spread amongst the ranks, and that really means that information that's trying to be discerned is all but awkward.
This push now towards the A site. The defensive positions there from FM, and Nilzinho on the site, going to spot them first. He looks for the double spray. Ezio trades onto Fry, and now he's able to pop out from that apartment. Endpoint, they've taken the site. Now they look to hold it once more. It's this B site. The issue for FM, the rotate's not quick enough. The A site so weak, really, from FM. And Team Endpoint are just going to continue looking to abuse and chip down until FM figure out a way to hold it. Should be a 6 on the board as FM once more look to hold onto this AWP, this M4 in the hands of Stan Lee.
It's curious in terms of the UK community and playing Inferno, just how many rounds teams seem to be able to get tonight on Inferno on their T side. I don't know if that's a stat that we can look at. I think that's honestly not in relation to kind of top tier CS and how Inferno's gone like that, because I still think we always look at that CT side of things, but at least in terms of the games we saw tonight, the 2 matches we've seen on Inferno, it seems to be that these teams have a bit of a field day when they're on that terrorist side. They're always able to find those opening frags. They're always able to build up their economy. When you reference Snod's easy as anything there with 14,350 in the bank, it's very, very good for them.
Certainly is. Lots of money. Lots of AWPs that can be purchased up for this player. A lot of, you know, security heading into the rest of the half here. It's a pause. We're not sure whether it's tactical or technical, but I'm sure we can get word as soon as it comes through. FM, if it is a tactical pause, I assume it comes from them at this point.
That'd be a good time for it when you look at it. Kind of analyze how the rounds go. If we can get the scoreboard up real quick, that'd be real good actually. There's a bit of a visual aid here for this explanation. Man can hope, but a man will not get rewarded, apparently. Yep,
it is a tactical pause.
At least we know it's a tactical though, and I think, yeah, it's perfectly timed. If you look at the way the rounds have gone, try and imagine in your head at least kind of how back and forth it's been, and then the string that Endpoint have got. That shows that...
Oh.
that shows, the point I was trying to hit there is that shows that the idea of the tactical pause now is just before Endpoint really start to run away with things. You call the pause, you talk things through, and then you try and make that change. That was really hard to get out.
I'm liking it. Currently Team Endpoint showing spicy flavor.
You tried. You failed miserably.
Production's playing a game, and it's a game that I will no longer play. We're here to cast some Counter-Strike, goddammit! And I want to see Team Endpoint strike further. 6-2 now, but this play from FM, this tactical pause to try and pull themselves back in. They swarm down mid, and they find 2 in return. It's traded on back, but a trade that Team Endpoint will take here. They have the AKs in hand, and they're winning the round as we speak. It's just that one more kill to push it to 7 here for Team Endpoint. And now they've managed to secure so many rounds here, Flakes. It's a strong opening statement from them.
This is the big one, though. This is what the tactical pause was all about. It's all well and good. You know, you've had a few things here and there, but at the end of the day, this is why they called that pause now. They spoke through what they're going to change. So let's take a look at the map. Let's see where they've adjusted things. We can't really see anything that's too obvious just yet. It seems to be Stanley prodding yet again towards Banana. They've got 3 players, though, this time around, so a bit more of a core setup, and I like this. The aggression as well, they're coming in towards A, is a bit more risky. Nilzinho can easily be caught off guard here, but this push from FM is way too deep. Now Ezio ready and waiting to find the first. It's going to be a pop-off coming over towards A as well. It's a bit of a healthy fake, but the frags are coming in and it's too close to call. As we sit in a 3 versus 3, 1 minute 20 on the clock, Endpoint, they've rushed on towards A, but why? They have so much time to play with.
Well, they're trying to overwhelm this defense. They know there's more on B, and they're right. But now it's a 2 versus 2. The bomb to be planted in the hands of Mighty Max, and Snod's trying to hold the cover. This AWP showdown, it gets tenser and tenser as the camera switch back and forth. Whether will he peek his leg out into Snod's crosshair, or will be this rotate from Stan to really just shut things down. Going to come up behind Snods and take him on down. And that just leaves Mighty Max left all by his lonesome to try and find and secure the site. Not to happen. FM with a quick rotate this time, and they backed themselves in that one. There was some good play there from Frey to hold the site, at least find one trade for himself, which meant that the 2 versus 2 was much more of a doable scenario for FM.
The problem I got with that round for FM, yes, it's a round win, but I don't feel like it's something they can repeat over and over again in terms of going for the aggression towards being almost overloading the senses of Endpoint. I feel like that's something that is just not going to happen as a rinse-repeat strategy. It's not like a default that you can just go, okay, let's go back to our default. It's not the fallback, it's the quick one-off round. So this is just another round where you kind of have to look at FM and go, okay, what are you really made of? What is your fallback? What is your play?
Yeah, no, it was a wild card. It was used once, a half type thing from FM. They do have to still fix this problem. And how have they attempted it? Well, they haven't changed the positions of anyone. It's still Pulse and Stan over towards that B site. The 3 members on A, and Endpoint still prodding and poking this A site, looking to try and open it up once more. FM, they definitely need to adjust something. Perhaps they just adjust their confidence back themselves, trade as much as they can. You can see from Quad Nilzinho falling back to short now as Rickson takes the trade, finds the first, and Weber will finally get the killing shot that FM were looking for. Puts us into a 4 versus 4 here, but you could argue still favours Team Endpoint on their T side. With 55 seconds, Endpoint are still playing this time game, ticking it down and waiting for FM to make a mistake. Fry will not make that mistake. A good pop flash from his teammate will find a frag, but here comes Mighty Max. Oh no, the Molotov out, and now Weber to find a second. It's all gone wrong for Endpoint. Only Ezio left alive, and Weber holding the side strong, trying to find Weber, but it will not happen. Weber with 4 in fact of his own with that AWP. And Endpoint, once more, a bit of sloppy play towards A. You could say the last round was sloppy as well.
Yeah, really kind of just tough stuff for them to really try and stomach now. But at the end of the day, it leads back to the scoreline, right? It leads back to, okay, Endpoint, you've got yourself to 7, but are you going to translate it to anything further? They've yet to win the half, but they will at least compete for that. Thankfully, they do have a whole lot of money to work with, and that is going to be the saving grace for them. As FM continue to barrage forward. Snods trying to go for a shot through the smoke. A bit of a pot shot in nature, but one that won't quite land. But meanwhile, Pulse there, ready, just almost dead set and locked on towards the middle of his chest. Perfect accuracy from him. And what an opening frag. Snods left with nothing in this round. Endpoint starting off in a 4 versus 5.
It's this double up setup. They adjust their tactics here, Flakes, and it works up well. You can see FM are starting to figure themselves out on this CT side and starting to crawl back into this half here. Endpoint, they've definitely put up a great argument, but it could be taken back, and now it's going to be this push onto Nilzinho. 2 men, but Nilzinho will have them both. Mighty Max finally to strike back, but now he's got 3 trying to take him down, and he's down to 9 HP. Pulse will be able to spot his shoulder. There's nowhere for Mighty Max to go, an awkward spot to hide, and that will be the 5th point there for FM. The money still in the bag for Team Endpoint. They've still got so much left. They've built up such an economy for themselves. Will they be able to pull back into this? Another pause?
Attack pause for Endpoint, I would say. Kind of, you could lead towards that being a good avenue right now for them. Think about it. FM, they build up to 5. Endpoint still sat on 7. They want to ensure that they get the best case scenario out of this first half. They see a lot of value here. They see really that proving ground again that we talk so dearly about. Endpoint, the team who also can struggle with closing out matches. That's something that, historically and statistically speaking, have been pretty damn apparent both in Premier and in UK domestic tournaments alike. So, at 5 to 7, call a tactical pause. Think things through, work out what your game plan is going to be in these last few final rounds, and even think about that second half. It's a mental reset for a lot of these players.
I'm so glad to see these top teams of the UK Masters investing some time into that tactical play just to pause up the momentum. FM, they've got that ball rolling, but what a Team Endpoint do by calling that pause is they grab the ball and stop it. They halt it for just a second, and FM, they might be able to return that momentum, but will it be as fast? Will it be as deadly? We'll have to see. It's going to be these AKs invested here for Team Endpoint. No AWP for Snods. The utility is there, and where will they strike? How will they find themselves an advantage? FM looking to take very strong possession of mid. They're coming straight on down. Weber and Frey pushed up so close, and they're looking to try and punish. There's the first. Weber finds Rickson and Endpoint. They've even lost more control of the map. They're pushed right back down towards their spawn. FM have taken full control. Maybe Ian through the tunnels could be a card, but a HP grenade straight onto him, and 52 HP does do a lot of work. Fry will look to come back down. No, he's going to escape down Banana. Team Endpoint, they're given a bit of map presence back, but FM have already done the damage to them.
This is so good for them. They're constantly knocking them down as well, chipping away at their HP. You see more and more frag grenades. Imi, 52 HP. Ezio, 35. Endpoint, they realize they've got to make a play. They charge on forward, but it's the pistol round all over again. Weber, not quite the man to do it. Well, Stanley, but it's still the same result. Stanley mopping up House, gets himself a clean sweep with a triple kill. With Fry and Weber both finding frags individually as well. 6 to 7 for FM. Endpoint, they tried to slow things down. They use that pause, but it is the thought that counts this time around. There's no actual direct benefit. They are going to have to try and make this 14th round mean something, though. It's not all over just yet. It just means we are closer. So damn close.
And it's not like the tactical pause can't favor FM. They go, okay, well, we get to talk. Let's try something different. Let's catch them off. Let's try and make whatever they're talking about null here. And that's exactly what they do. A quick play down mid. It wasn't expected, but it certainly played dividends. And now FM looking to pull themselves into possession of this half. It's a chance for Team Endpoint to take that 8th point. All they need to get the majority, as they now find themselves just on the back end of A, looking to try and spread on out. Fry once more going to spot, but Rickson so quick to draw, and he will find the shot. He's looking for Nilzinho, flashed on up, and Mighty Max has spotted his back, but he won't be able to convert it to a kill. At least Ezio has his back. The bomb to go down on the A site. So here comes FM on the back end.
Stanley already looking to respond, waltzing himself up towards mid, but decides, you know what, I've got a second faith, a second thought. Balcony should be where I jump towards, gets himself in towards Sunroom, but that's going to be where Rickson can get himself that frag pulse. Sure, he can look for the trade with his AWP, and he'll find it. But it's a 2 versus 3. It's very, very tough with a double up setup to retake on towards A like this. They have Molotovs, they have flashes, sure, but Pulse is not able to find that entry. If he jumps on forward with an AWP, it's not a shotgun, but oh my god, Pulse lands the flip Weber as well. But Ezio mops house yet again, a double kill for Endpoint. As they get themselves at 8, they win that half, they secure themselves some sense of pride.
And they secure the AWP for Snods as well, which means they can invest the rest of their money into utility for the team. It's this last round, as you say, the double up setup still there for FM. Once more going for it here. And reinvest into it, of course, using all their money. It's a full gun round just to finish it off. Exciting stuff, of course. These two giants facing up once more, clubbering away at each other. Will they be able to find anything? Rickson in Sunroom. Look at where Fry is pushed on up. Rickson doesn't check. He does. And Fry just didn't hear him crossing over. Didn't track for it. And man advantage for Team Endpoint. This A site now looking a little bit weak. Will FM push aggressively on B to try and apply pressure? Will they just be met at the end of Banana here?
A couple of shots to be fought off with the M4, of course. It is just a bit more of a pushing of prominence with that rifle. The idea of just inserting a few shots, showing your position, but also just showing that you have to deal with it. So it's, you know, a bit of a win-win, but can imply a little bit of loss as Nilzinho is going to begin to make use of it. Goes for the spray, but Snods is going to realise what's up. Lands the flip with the AWP. Weber, bit delayed, but we'll find one on towards Imi, but surely he's just going to be strangled down by the opposing T-side. Might hold on still. Apparently it's a bit of a failing. Ezio. Weber allowed a double kill. Ezio is going to find one in the short term, but this is not looking good at all.
It's not. Team Endpoint, they've put themselves in a 2 versus 2 scenario. They haven't got the bomb down, and FM have been allowed to rotate, get set up to look for this retake here as Pulse lays down a Molotov just to make things harder. 30 seconds left on the clock now, and this final round of the half certainly showing a bit of excitement for us. Pulse now with the smoke cleared, has a shot for himself, and Snods doesn't know where to look, doesn't know where to challenge Pulse. He is going to go for it. He lands onto Pulse. Pulse rotating now, stand to push, but Snods will find himself a third, able to hold the round together with some quick AWP play for his team, and the score will finish this half at 9-6 for Team Endpoint.
There's a reason why we both get excited over that. There's a reason for the random exclamations, and it's because Snods, right there, getting that 181 tap with the Tech 9 is so important for Endpoint. It gives them that extra round. It takes it away from being that sort of 7-8 shenanigan to a 9-6 half, which means that if Endpoint can now go into the second half with a pistol round, then we're looking at a completely different story going into it. So a big one, but one that doesn't come without a bit of a lull. Unfortunately, there's a pause, and it's of a technical nature. So for now, we get a bit of a waiting game. We get an opportunity to assess these teams, assess these players. I'm surprised by Endpoint. I think getting themselves 9 rounds really holds a lot. I think Rickson as well has been a bit of a surprising pickup, a substitute of course, but him coming over, of course, that Norwegian player is playing the variety of different Norwegian teams. I think he's really brought a lot as well to the Endpoint composition. So all in all, it's good stuff from them, but can they close it out in the second half?
Alrighty, so this pause, this technical pause, just to sort out some communication issues. Just making sure that everything's ready for the second half here. And for FM, a chance to equalize the score of a pistol round, essentially, if they want to. Of course, they'll be looking for it. It was a strong pistol round from them to begin things off. Let's not forget this matchup. It's almost an age-old one here in the UK Masters.
Not just in Masters, though. In general, you always want to see the kingpins of the UK scene, the old guard of UK Counter-Strike face off against each other. Yeah, you've got a few kind of newer names mixed on in, and you can look at Snods from Endpoint as already kind of one of those.
That's the smoothest frag movie shot I've seen, John.
Silky smooth, honestly.
Oh, look. We're getting a...
Live cinematic.
Love it.
What happened to that Norse and Crosses game? Let's get that rolling.
Oh, snaps right on back. Not switching to a player. He's just going to show us the route to the T-spawn.
Yeah, this is how you get to T-spawn, folks. Got to go through the tunnels, and then you are arriving at the good old Norse and Crosses. Problem here, John, is you can't use stickers on Nork and Wii, so we've got to kind of head over to the map. Who gets first pick?
Is it us versus John?
I feel like it's us versus John. We get first pick. Where do we go, Dowsy?
Top left.
We go top left. All right, we're going to go top left. All right, this is your time, John. We're going to respond.
He takes the middle. Now we go to bottom right.
Yeah, I think bottom right's a good shout right now. Get ourselves some map control.
Yep. Very nice there. Of course, we're going to stop it, block you on the middle left.
Good stuff.
That's not what...
That's definitely what we wanted. Yeah.
Greatest,
Nice one, John.
Greatest admin here. Definitely.
Corrupt free, honest.
But hey, you know, we distract ourselves. Let's talk about this matchup, because it is close and it is very important for the seeding. Here, Team Endpoint, they've had such a strong T side. They won it.
You talk about seeding. Can we whip up the table? Is that something we can do? Because let's talk about the theoretical matchups. I know Jake's going to be kind of there sweating at the brow now, thinking they want the table
game?
during the match. What? This is madness. But no, he's able to bring it up. He's able to be the hero we need. So of course we know that it's top versus bottom, 1 versus 4, and then 2 versus 3.
Mm-hmm.
So those potential matchups really mean that right now we could be seeing some very, very big ones. I'd be curious to see it in Fish versus Imperial, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. Fish versus Imperial was yesterday's matchup, and Imperial able to take it 2-0.
Imagine that in a best of 3.
In a best of 3. They locked in their playoff chances. It would be a rematch here of FM versus Team Endpoint if Endpoint weren't able to find that 2-0, which makes for great storylines, right? These guys played each other in their final week of UK Masters, and now they're back again for the playoffs. But Endpoint have put up a good showing. Maybe they just slot on into third and then mix things up.
Or if they don't, and then we see the same match happen in playoffs. That's curious. That's an option.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited for playoffs, man.
It's pretty exciting.
I'm pretty pumped for playoffs now. These matches,
When are playoffs?
the 1st and 2nd of April, folks. Make sure you come by
Saturday,
UK Masters.
Sunday.
Saturday, Sunday. Prime time, weekend. Yeah, no, I'm generally really excited for some of these matches now. I think we've really got the creme de la creme of UK Counter-Strike. Exactly what we wanted.
Certainly. It's been a great season, and it all came down to the final week to work out where we head with it. But, you know, some solid stuff. You know, we're still in this technical pause, just a reminder. Some voice comm issues, I think, is what
just some issues. It's going to be one of those things where they try and make the best of what they've got at the end of the day. They're going to try and solve it, of course. We always prioritize in the UK Masters making sure that every single team has, you know, the best possible playing conditions they have. And talking about those best possible playing conditions, it looks like they have been restored. So everything is good in the world. That soon TM is going to get completely washed away as we are going to be going live into the second half. FM eSports UK Masters Season 2 champions up against the runners-up Team Endpoint, who currently sit in the lead 9-6 on their CT side.
Of Inferno now. Will they be able to hold the aggression firm? As here comes FM straight on into Apps and down, making their way towards this A site. Ian opens up with a first tap and looks for a second of the jumping Stanley. Pulse, he comes through though and shows that he is comfortable on that Glock. And it will be the 3 versus 3, the bomb planted, but Mighty Max makes things easier for his team. And now Weber in a crucial position on Boiler Room to try and find Rickson, but Rickson has just been so solid, but this time will not be able to win the duel. Now Snods, he pushes the site with Mighty Max trying to overwhelm Nilzinho, but the first frag goes his way. It's all on Mighty Max. He's stepped up, he's clutched before, but can he do it again here once more on the A side? He's got Tease behind him, Tease in front of him. He's trying to close the gap as Weber going to be challenged. He goes for where he has 5 seconds. It's a full defuse. No, it's not. It's a defuse kit, but Weber will poke his head on out. And that will be the round going towards FM 7-9. and now a chance to equalize the scoreline.
The balls he's got, though, to go for that defuse.
We
He's
had
like,
to. There's nothing else he could do.
yeah, that flash from short completely changes the round right there. Because if that flash didn't come in, he would have charged on short, tried to force that 1 versus 1, and then spun back around and would have had time to put off a clutch. So a singular decision, yet again, being the saving grace for a team. And I think that's always something that really deserves a bit of light to be shone on towards it. As now at 9-7, things are getting a little bit more heated yet again. That sweat on the brow, it's not on Jake, it's on these players. These things are about to get a little bit more contested over on towards potentially B side as Banana is being prodded somewhat, but at the same time, for mid.
We love you, producer Jake. Doing the UK scene proud here. With your production skills. Your table bringing up skills, it's some good stuff. I joke. We do love you. Now, before I Kappa Pride all over this one, let's move on. It is going to be Weber starting things off nice onto Rickson. There's a round that should go FM eSports way, but the trades are there. As Pulse finds Snods, but Snods finds Pulse.
Yeah, it's going to be that early on trade, and it does leave things to at least be the SMG's favour as they will look to chew into this armour. Try and really bite away and do as much damage as physically possible, but also trade that damage off to a bit more of an economy standpoint, right? You don't want to... I'm going to say you don't want to get frags with, in terms of the aspect of you don't want to just get frags with rifles here or anything crazy like that. Getting them with the SMGs is so valuable. That's what we're hitting there. Of course, frags are frags, but it's that extra money, that extra little boost.
The CZ up close will do damage, and it finds one, but the second runs out of bullets. Isio trying to trade, but he was too slow to the draw, wasn't quite able to connect all his shots, and he allowed so much time for the trade for him to come through. It's Ian with a diffused kit up against a low Weber. And of course, Fry, the UMP's still there. It's a 5-7 though, and 5-7s have been very brutal so far in these games so far. So can he be the one to make... No, Fry so quick on the draw, able to take him down. The 8th on the board now for FM.
The problem here, though, is that it's the 8th on the board, sure, but they did make a few sort of minor mistakes there, and that allowed a lot of damage to be done to Endpoint. 3 kills, in fact, which kind of draws away from the idea of prioritizing getting those frags with the SMGs. You send them in first, sure, but if they fall, then is that double-edged sword coming back to haunt you because you start losing a whole lot and forcing these rebuys in this 18th.
FM always purchase up the 5 UMPs, always prioritizing that money game. But right, you know, they reinvest with AKs now. They don't want to allow Endpoint to take their economy away. They want to continue just building it up and try and make it as clean as possible. And so far, so good. Against the pistols, they find 2. The A site now theirs. And Team Endpoint will look to try and rotate, maybe find an extra frag, maybe still an AK or a UMP into next round. But it's a hard task.
Again, though, it's the smartness, right? They sent in the rifles as the supporting actors, but they used the UMPs first to make sure that they had a chance to get those frags and, again, maximize that economy. And it's something that really has to be stressed when it comes down to these two teams. How important is that money going to be?
It's going to be very important if they can keep their wits about them. They've lost 2 members, but the AKs are still in play. The big investments there from FM still in the hands of Pulse and Frey. They will continue to be as Frey transfers his spray into the sky, shooting stars on your screens, blowing the competition away. Team Endpoint now tied up here as we get into the first gun round of the half, and Snods to invest into that AWP for himself.
His time to be shut up on towards that pedestal, needs to be able to find that opening frag with the AWP, or if not the opening frag, have an impact in the round. They don't want to just invest in this, such a big one, and then not get anything done with it. So really kind of mounting up the pressure on towards his shoulders at this point is already we're going to see Stanley look to try and garner that control over towards apartments, countering that pressure point. As Ezio going to begin to feel it.
Certainly will. Pulse making his way up mid here, just trying to put the pressure down. The smoke comes up from above to remove Snods from the picture, and a second will come as a return from Team Endpoint just to try and trap them here in this choke point that is mid and allow them to push forward without a bit of danger. 2 men watching Apps, Ian and Ezio, as it's the only real in which isn't through smoke for FM, and Pulse is spraying, trying to find action, but he won't. The Molotov will hold Fry back, but FM are primed and ready if they want to break on towards this A site. Perhaps they just get the bomb going towards B, cause a bit of a fake for themselves. See how this plays out.
Waiting to see what can be done. Still looking towards this AWP. Of course, you do see some banana aggression coming in. Could come up, spot out this play, but it isn't quite going to work out. Stanley and Pulse both chalk up some frags, and that's going to be a win-win situation for FM. They begin to eke out the numbers. Snod's going to land a one hell of a flick on towards Stanley, in fact. He should have been almost sentenced to death there, but somehow gets away with that flick, and that brings him back into play into this 3 versus 4, but it still is just outright a very, very tough standpoint where you can already see them making that instinctive decision to decide, you know what, let's just save. Let's just start a step away out of this one and get ourselves sat in pit and keep this weaponry going into this 20th round.
3 rifles, a AWP, it's setting a lot of investments that they can keep for the next round, force up heading into round 19 and try again another day. FM so clever there, they split the bomb away from themselves, push it towards B, and then move up under the cover of a smoke straight into Arch so that they can prepare that backstab onto B and make sure the site is nice and clear. Endpoint, as soon as it happened, they realized the round was lost, and so they do go for the save. Very clever stuff from Team FM. Now, Endpoint saving those rifles just about. Should be able to throw some FAMASs or UMPs, perhaps even some M4s around. Make sure that everyone has a gun. It's going to be a UMP there for Ian. Now we'll have to see whether or not they're able to get into the action once more.
Clock going to be a pretty pertinent point of this round. FM have really been so good at utilizing every little second they've got. So already they begin to probe their way through mid. Pulse going to be looking to try and work out who is the weaker player here. Who's the man that I can isolate, use for that entry frag? You can see some aggression coming in from Endpoint, beginning to meander their way down through Banana. And I like this. It's different. It's off the cuff. But it's not just completely fresh. They've done it a few times before. And it has been spotted out every single time. FM have been able to find those headshots and stop it from getting too much value.
The rest of FM have pushed up, but they've left the bomb behind. It will be Weber's job to recover it. Will Rickson be able to stop the bomb from making its way over? Will Weber take a smarter route? The smoke's there, so that pretty much answers our questions, but it is fading, and Weber now knows that he has to be careful about crossing on over. Make sure he doesn't just give this one over to Rickson. Inching closer and closer as FM inch closer and closer to the A site. Weber decides it's not worth the challenge. He will just make the long way round to second mid. Nope, he changes his mind. I don't know what Weber wants to do right now. He's playing mind games with us. He's playing mind games with Rickson. And his team has decided to fall back from A here. They've called B. Then once more going for this sneaky push, but this time Snods will stop the backstab, and Rickson will stop Weber in his tracks. 20 seconds in FM, they need to turn the acceleration up to full. They need to get onto that B site. The rotates are coming from Team Endpoint already, and Stanley about to walk into a crossfire here. Endpoint making their way through Church, making sure it doesn't happen. And FM, they've turned track. They're going backwards, but they don't have time. And Ian, he's ready for the sandwich, the banana sandwich, and a bit of honey on top, and you've got yourself a beautiful treat. Endpoint able to equalize the score off of some very undecisive play from FM.
Do you know the reason why they turned back? It's because the minute they began their walk up through Banana, it was already too late. The round was already lost. They had no time. It was physically impossible for them to get themselves from Banana onto the site and get a plant. So they thought instinctively, yet again, that word that really stings into mind, okay, let's be smart. Let's back off and save what we've got instead of just trying to Zerg push a site with no value to it. So at least there's something there you can try and analyze and say, you know what, that was a good decision. The problem was it fell apart.
It was a good decision off a terrible decision.
It's very two-sided, right? It sways backwards and forwards, but this type of war continues. The battle rages on. Endpoint, they may have won the war, but who will win this one? As for now, it is going to be Pulse. He'll be taken down by Snods and AWP. Land that shot, Nilzinho. Going to begin to try and peek around these angles, seeing, okay, what can I find here? Can I do anything at all? See if I can take down Ezio, but Ezio with the M4 is going to be in a pretty good position here to find not only one, but go for the second, and he gets away with it. Weber is going to trade him off at least, but Imi in a position to secure the refrag after refrag. As he sits perched up on balcony. A flash to go off Fry, not even going to check the angle. Fry, no, this is basic CS, you got to check this. Imi about to be in a position to run riot, but instead, he's opted to walk forward. He's opted to get himself in a further backstab here, allowing Mighty Max to do the work, and I like this. It gives them a bomb one, sure, but it secures a guaranteed round for Endpoint.
Weber able to find the first, but there's 3 more to go. They're all coming from the same angle. Spray transfer available, but no, Rickson will just change it on down. Endpoint, they group up. Like you say, Ian, instead of just going for the hero play, works as a team, make sure he comes as a 3. and it makes things so easy for Endpoint to get the lead there. The money game so split for FM. They have 10,000 on one, 5,000 on the other, the rest though on 2,000. So they will try and force down, throw some AKs at each other. It will be a chance for a reset for Team Endpoint if they're able to take this one away and start to build the buffer up. Endpoint basically winning off some undecisive plays from FM. They're just not trusting their instinct. They're not trusting their initial calls. They're trying to change things up too late in the round. I want to see some more decisive play from them.
Seems to be a bit of a buzzword of the cast, and I think I can see why. In terms of those kind of few phrases that really have been ever so apparent.
This Norwegian Nick Rickson just coming onto the Endpoint roster and has just been such a dominant point so far in this game.
They're used to playing with substitutes as well. I think that's a factor. They've been playing with subs for practically every online league for the past week and a half now, I think it would be. Probably about a week or so. And I think that's down to some issues on the PT side of things, just not able to get himself comfortable. And that raises a few problems. And at least in this one, it's just going to be a quick teardown for FM. They get nothing done at all. It's just simple. Ezio, get himself some headshots. Sure, just aim DM for him. The Snods with the ADP doing the work. There's that impact with the scope that we stress so hard about. Things are looking pretty neat and tidy for Endpoint as they go 12 to 10.
Another pause comes out. FM not in real position to go for a super serious buy. Looks like it will be a tactical pause coming through here. I assume it's FM the ones to call it, as they are in this position where they're slowly allowing the game to slip away from them. Deciding whether or not they force on up here, but let's look at the scoreboard and let's just see what's going down. It's such an interesting one when you consider that Team Endpoint, they're just fragging as a unit, 16-15, 16-17, and it's just not the same when you jump over to FM. Nilzinho hasn't been able to get a foothold in the game. Frey also down there. It's only Weber and Pulse who are performing so far, holding FM above water right now as they tread, but the sink, the drown, it's possible, as Endpoint could just start pushing and applying more pressure onto this FM.
The thing I love about this matchup, and that I love about kind of everything that you just said to tie it into one, it's very story-like, right? Everything is all built into a structured style, and I think that's something you do see with a lot of these top UK teams, a lot of these top teams in general, is that the game isn't just kind of rounds off the rounds. It's not a quick blur. It's a story. It's a movie that you watch, and I like that. I think it's different. I think it's something to follow. It makes things a little bit more closer and competitive as well, as both these teams really kind of rally behind the importance of being in control of that, directing that movie. They always say, you want to be the director of your own success. Links back to Counter-Strike quite easily.
This Tech9 purchase will be the thriller component for us. They have that P250 as well, and Pulse and Frey. Unfortunately, they lose one. Not coming as a unit, and Snods will just pick them off one by one. Pulse tries to charge onto Ezio, but Ezio just falls back, allows his team to hold forward, but it doesn't work out, and find themselves on the site all of a sudden. 3 versus 3. Upgrade of 2 rifles for themselves. I feel like Endpoint gave them too much room.
Yeah, a bit of a tough one now, and it does give FM that bomb plant, which is going to be a pretty big aid for them. But not only just a bomb plant, they got the rifles. Pulse is tapping heads left, right, and center. Takes down Mighty Max. Well, let's fly forward, back in towards the present. The past is all but done. Now it is that 3 versus 2. Snods, he's away from the action. He doesn't care anymore. Rickson going to follow as well down towards mid. Endpoint going to concede that round. And a fair shout from them, really. They give up that bomb plant, and the minute they do, all the rifles, the armory is going to be raided by FM. As they storm the gates, they find themselves everything they need to hold things off. The chickens are no saviour today.
Rickson, though, shows mercy. Don't do it, Rickson! What have the chickens ever done to you? But yes, an interesting round there from Team Endpoint, as Ezio, under pressure, was expecting some suppressive fire from Snods to come from down long, and it just wasn't there. FM able to breach onto the site, allowed too much space, and now the score gets closer and closer. Round 24, just a point between these two teams as we inch closer to that 16 mark to end the game. But who will be victorious? Or will there be a 16? Or will there be that 15-15? Push it to the overtime and draw this one out even further. Currently FM set on up. All towards mid, but it's a push once more from Rickson. Looking to try and find Weber. He's going to turn on to him, and he will be able to find the backstab. But FM, they approach so quickly, straight on through mid, straight into Ian's grasp as Ian able to fall back into the arch. But now he's pushed back. He has to go to library if he wants to make a play. FM, they're stuck between Rickson and a site. They are going to challenge Rickson. It's just one member instead of more, but they don't expect him down here. He'll find one, and it makes things even harder. It's 2 versus 3, and the rotate coming through from Mighty Max. It's quick. He'll stop. He'll be able to get them before they get there. They're not going to look for him just yet. In fact, they pull out utility. Mighty Max a little bit awkward as he jumps away. 40 seconds. Will he be able to get the trade? He does. Fry, as he crosses over, loses the bomb. It's only Stanley up against 3 now. Endpoint may have just done enough to be able to stop this one.
This is so good for them. Really impactful. They want to get that spear right into the heart of FM. Hurt them. Right where it really matters. And Stanley gonna find his inevitable death. Snod's the man to do the damage with that AWP. And that really holds all the more importance now as the scoreline elevates further and further closer to that final round. 13-11 is the numbers to be shouted. But FM, they are going for this one, guns blazing. They care so much, and there's a reason for this. Their money is so wish-washy, it's so all over the place, that they could practically be left in a slew of ecos if they don't. So they're going for the AWP force up onto Nilzinho. But an AWP is a very risky buy. I'd prefer 2 rifles here.
And Nilzinho, it's been stolen away from, Pulse, from Weber. Usually we see that AWP in their hands. Very curious, but look at this. Endpoint, they expect that it's going to be a full eco, so they've got the UMPs out, trying to build up a bit of bank. Perhaps that might just play into FM here, as they have that AK, they have that AWP. Rickson just holding firm once more in Banana, up close and personal, trying to be that early warning defense, perhaps even poke his head through the smoke and find another frag like he did in the previous round. Molotov goes out, it pushes Pulse back, means that he can take the challenge against one if he wants to. Now FM, they're feeling the pressure from both sides. They have to make a play. Last time it was to burst onto A, and exactly what they're doing. Ezio from Quad, though, in a prime position to take down Stanley. They're starting to fall apart for FM. They're going to push forward. Fry will find the first onto Ezio, but he has to move back. The Molotov burning him away. All across the board, FM trying their best to find more and more. It's this 4 versus 4 with 30 seconds. They need to make their minds up, and look at where the bomb is.
Weber scrabbling to get himself in the right position here. That close-knit angle from Rickson is going to be all or nothing. He either does so much or does nothing at all as a Tech-9's charge on board. Weber checking the angle, but Rickson going to find one that could be just enough to slow them down. 20 seconds or so. Mighty Max quick on his heels, gets himself in the old faithful angle. The El Clasico of Inferno sprays with the M4, but the frag doesn't quite connect. He is not the man to do the damage this time around, as now he has to slow it right back. Endpoint, they can't just drip into this site. They've got to go together, a team in this 3 versus 3 as they dive into Church. But Nilzinho going to be holding tight there with the AWP to look right towards his chest. If he finds his first shot, then it would be huge. Nearly gets a collateral, but it doesn't quite pull through. But he can repeat here. Snod's completely Molotoved off. A flash is going to be found. But this is so difficult now for Endpoint to retake. They already begin to reformalize out of the site. They're practically giving up. Pulse ready to peek on out. This is done and dusted. Endpoint, they know where they have failed. They find themselves an exit frag on towards Pulse. Ian going to go quickly as anything to dive on forward, trying to see if he can get on that defuse. But if anything, the only thing he's doing is trying to do as much damage as he physically can. But FM, they are going to be laughing in the faces of Endpoint.
He just wanted to find Nilzinho there, try and get the AWP out of the hands, make sure that investment wasn't to be carried forward, but it was. So much damage done to both teams, but FM, that force, it was so risky, and it paid off. They keep the AWP as well. That's the important thing. That's what they wanted to try and take out of the hands. Ian just trying to find that frag. Just didn't come through, unfortunately. Wasn't the prime man. And now Endpoint in an awkward position. 2 UMPs. Snods with that AWP purchase once more. Wasn't able to bring his through from the previous round.
It's just a shame as well that we couldn't see that M4 angle be held from CT. You see it so much on the old Inferno. And it's the same angle, so it's transferred, of course, into the new one, but it just doesn't quite get the job done, doesn't quite get that damage through the smoke. But talking of that, Rickson might have been able to do it in the past round, but he's done it in the present. As he takes down Stanley, finds himself a headshot. The smoke means nothing to this man.
That's just spraying down those predefined spots, lining up the crosshair and hoping for it. The bomb, though, you've just pointed out, has been dropped I'm not sure if they spotted it through the smoke. It is sat there, and Rixon has pushed up. Yeah, he knows it's there for sure. This is awkward for FM. They need to try and recover the bomb, but Endpoint now know exactly where it is. They're going to commit 3 men to Banana. They want to defend it. They're bringing the battle to here. And look at that. 3 quick kills for Team Endpoint. It's all over. Nilzinho with the AWP, but he has to go up against so many members. And the pressure coming in on all sides. A first onto Ian. It's a nice little flick, but here comes the push, and that will be Snods to end this one out. Unfortunate play there for FM. All from a spray through the smoke. A pop shot from Rixon to get the bomb on the ground. FM, they lose that pressure.
A saving grace for Endpoint as well. Quite in a literal sense. If they didn't win that round, they'd pretty much be gutted. It'd be just another round, and FM more than likely dead set ready to equalize things and actually take lead. But the difference is now is the Endpoint, they get it. Snod staying alive for 4 rounds back-to-back with the AWP means his economy is already going to be pretty damn good as he drops away for the rest of his team, and it really sets up good. It's all about playing together now. Snod was able to consistently provide rifles and SMGs every round while keeping his own AWP.
And not only that, they upgrade. They bring in the second. Rixon able to steal that away from Nilzinho. Now, this round, the AK, the pistols, and Endpoint looking for their match point. They've fallen back. They're allowing Snods to do his work. He's been so on point in this matchup on the AWP. In his element, truly. FM trying to put the pressure on, but Ezio and Pitt has his work cut out from here. Comes Pride jumping forward, but there's Ian to defend, and Snods as well. This is time. It's the suppressive fire, the cover fire necessary to keep Ezio alive in Pitt. The anchor point of the A site. And it's just Stanley against 3. No way he collects the bomb. No way he makes this magical play.
It's a lot to ask for. I'll give you that. But with 35 seconds left, you can't say that Stanley doesn't deserve a shot. A shred, I hope. He might well be clutching at straws, but a straw exists, and that's something you can look towards. But unfortunately, here's just a final straw to break the camel's back. Stanley is going to be there left in the dirt. 15-12. The economy of FM is absolutely stricken. There is nothing there at all. They're going in with the Tech 9s and the Kevlar. Get some flashes up, get some utility. But for Endpoint, the team who we did not favour, the team who was surrounded in pretty much an aura of doubt. We raised a lot of questions in the pre-show leading up to this match. Whether it was them closing out matches, whether it was dodgy results in the past in Premier and alike. But they're the ones to show up. FM, they put up on a good show. But at 15-12, Endpoint, this is theirs to take. The only opposition they've got now is some pistols. We saw how strong they were in that previous round dealing with those pistols.
Certainly were. Now they just need to close it out here. Cannot crumble on the final hurdle. In apps with the UMP. It's a Tech 9 train to roll towards this A site. But FM once more, not entirely sure where to go. Rixon has been so strong on the banana hold, and he has now an AWP to make it even easier for him. Weber trying his best. A flashbang comes out, and he will be able to cross on over, join his team on the other side of mid. Now this A push will be there for FM. Stanley probing. We'll find Snods. We'll be able to find the kill as well. Ezio will trade, and Ian able to find a second for Endpoint as they come on forward. It's this Tech 9 train rolling in, but will they be able to harbour any kills? It's Ezio and Weber, and they have taken over A. Mighty Max and Rixon on them to try and make this defuse a reality. A flashbang to defuse kids. The AK and the AWP against the 3. And here for FM. Mighty Max first point. Nilzinho so quick. A second for him, and Rixon will save this AWP.
He's going to carry this one forward into this 29th round. We thought we were done. We thought it was all over. But right when we gave up on FM eSports, they showed back into the server. They came on through confident as anything with these pistols. They pick up an AWP, they pick up an AK-47. They are going to be well and truly happy with the outcome of this as they keep on fighting. A team of players who just refuse to give up. They refuse to bow out as they look for those punches, landing them back, and now time and time again on towards Endpoint. But have they broken them? Well, in economy sense, no. But we're going to see how it affects them mentally, see how it affects them in the way they play. As at 13-15, FM pretty damn close to taking us to overtime.
Ian's been on this UMP for like 3 or 4 rounds in a row. Obviously
good with it,
at a close range. Yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? But
he gets very proactive in towards apps. He pushes the minute FM try and get themselves a frag in return. his play kind of right now is to basically equalize the issues that the rest of his team cause. So, say for example, Mighty Max falls, Imi's going to push and try and find that frag to bring it back to a 4 versus 4.
Let's see if he's able to do so. Stan pushing Boiler. Many CTs to pop out and face. Their crossfire will lose his life, and now Nilzinho pushes to trade, looking for the second. The trades are there once more. 3 versus 3 as that short and long. The chances to push forward, but they're going to make their way up the apps and just seeing where they can go from here. Once more, Rickson pushed up Banana, but he's going to fall back to a bit of cover. Make sure that the B site isn't vulnerable. FM so often liking to rotate off a push like this straight over to B. This time they're holding their wits about. They're making Team Endpoint guess, hoping to pull them into the rotates early. So they look to hold strong here. Weber to cross on over. Now he has a bit more control, but he falls on back. Rickson's not there.
You can see the rotate though coming in from Snods. Snods is nervous.
Yeah.
That gamble. Yeah, they're so uncomfortable now. You can see him actually biting the bullet going towards this B site. Snods, you've made a bad decision, my friend. You've made an error in your ways, as now you're betting all of your coins all on one man. Imi peeks on out, finds himself one, looks to double down, but Pulse, a beastly flick on towards his cranium will delete him from existence. Snods comes back into play, trying to be the insurance policy to make this one happen. But is it going to be that fateful phrase that pretty much curses a player every time we go down that route? The player falls, and the clutch doesn't quite not come through. Endpoint, a 2 versus 2. They have the flashes, they have the utility. But they're walking right in towards Weber. Looks for the frag, finds it, looks for the second. Is he going to find this one too? That's the question. Snots close with the CZ, trying to force the hand. And does it. Takes down Weber. Quick shot for him. Looks to get straight on this defuse. Toggling away. The smoke is going to go down, but the smoke is bad. 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Snots getting away with it, but so close. As Pulse will squeeze through with the Tech 9. A second is all the difference. As FM will get themselves their 14th round to keep the fight going.
And we talk about the economy broken. Well, this time it's Endpoint's economy that was broken. Now they're all on those budget weapons. The SMGs, the UMPs, and the CZ. For Mighty Max, it's a tough task now, as it looks like this will be the equalizer to bring us to overtime for FM. It's not done yet, but it's definitely getting closer. FM, the momentum in their court. Now they just need to close this one out. I said Endpoint, all they had to do was not crumble, but they've crumbled here, Flakes.
We said they struggled to close out matches, and this is the prime example of it right now. They can't quite walk over that final hurdle. They're looking for their 16th, and now it's going to continue to barrage them, berate them, call them names, as they are going to be knocked back over and over and over again.
It's exactly that. They need to stop getting inside their heads. They need to stay chill, or else it's all done here. They do have positional 4 men currently towards the A site. Rickson, the only one holding on B. But that rotate available for Mighty Max with the CZ if necessary, and he will start to make his way over. Endpoint, a chance to close this one out with the SMGs.
A chance to dodge FM in that first round of the playoffs.
Would be lost if FM were able to win this first map.
So much importance. Rickson not able to find the first. Weber getting that entry frag for the side of FM. Mighty Max going to try and get himself up on towards that elevated angle, but that bears no reward, as he's only going to find himself one before a quick trade is almost certain to roll on in. As FM, the cavalry have arrived. Snods tries to run riot, but it's not quite enough. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to overtime, as at 15-15, our winner has not been decided. This match, it rages on. The question is, who is going to come out on top?
Definitely a question to be asked. It is, of course, 3.5, 10k in the bank. 6 rounds to be played for this first overtime. And FM now with a huge, huge advantage, I would say, as far as momentum is concerned, as far as their cheers are concerned, their trust in themselves. Endpoint had a lead thrown away, a game not closed out. Now they're fighting for it here. We will see the teams discuss. They don't have to rush straight on into this, of course. They're free to have that break, work out what went wrong here, Flakes. It's so important here for Endpoint. If they want to dodge that first seed in the playoffs, they need 2 in a row. They need 2 maps in a row.
It's about making sure that they have the best run they can aim for. going into playoffs, as you mentioned. If they drop out of this map, it's done. It's dusted. So it really is going to be ever the more important they make each and every round and overtime count. It has to matter. It's not like they're fighting for nothing. They're fighting for everything. This could decide, this map right here could decide if they make it to the I-60 Grand Finals. Because their playoff route could be completely different. They are still going to face each other, but it's a matter of when. And that could be something that at least we can draw towards. Because for now, we do just wait things out. Both of these teams going to be talking, buzzing away, trying to come up with the best possible outcomes they can come up with in terms of the rounds, the best possible strategies to be clearer in that.
It's incredible play from Pulse. 27-19 so far, just standing above everyone on that scoreboard. Endpoint so stacked as a unit, and I love seeing that on a team when everyone is just so close to each other as far as the frags are concerned. But it does raise that point. You know, Neilzinho hasn't been performing too well, at least finding one every now and again, as Fry has. Maybe it just doesn't matter when we come into this one here, Flakes. Maybe for FM, they can rely on Pulse like they said they could in a recent interview. Neilzinho said, it's always Pulse. We can rely on him consistently to be the man who will hold the team together. Certainly doing so right now. This first round here, Endpoint, I feel, need it to try and bring back some momentum, some of that momentum back into their minds. The mental game. The mental game.
Get rid of that doubt.
Absolutely.
Just completely cut that away from things. Stop thinking that you can't get it done. That's our job right now. That's our job to hold that doubt. Endpoint, they're the people sitting in there right now, sitting in that server, trying to play this game. Stop trying to worm yourself in your own heads. Focus on the task at hand. Getting those frags, keeping the rounds competitive, and making sure you are the one to come out on top. We're going to be going live into this one. It is going to be FM on that T side, Endpoint over on that CT side of things. Let's see where this is one going to go. Already some aggression going in towards Apps. Two players about to butt heads, those being Stanley up against Ezio, but it doesn't lead to too much as Pulse is going to try and let a bullet go straight down towards Banana. It doesn't quite connect though, but a bit of damage to be done is at least something you can allude towards as he's going to walk away. Just 18 HP as Endpoint. So far, so good, keeping themselves intact. But do they have an information? Do they have a game plan here?
Can they execute it? Up close here in mid. Look, that's 3, 4 if you want to count Snods, who's just a little bit further back. They can look to make a massive trade. It's this midpoint that's been weak for them, consistently pushing forward. Stanley will lose his life. The Molotov goes down to make sure they don't come forward. And Ezio turns around. It's a nightmare for FM as all of them lose their lives. Weber, the only one standing. He sees the bomb, but he's flashed on out. He cannot see no more. Puts down the smoke to try and regain it. Rickson slowly pushing up Banana behind him. Will he peek around mid, or will it just be this push that causes the problem for Weber? Up against 4. With a flashbang and a Molotov, the AK in hand, trying to get on in, but look at Endpoint, they've just fallen back. They're allowing Weber in, they're inviting him in, say, come to us, we will sort you out, and Snods certainly will sort that one out. Endpoint able to find that first round, able to start to remove some of that doubt in their heads after not being able to close out this game after such a lead. Now, they need to continue this, Flex.
It's a quick declutter for them. They're going to roll into this with a double up setup again. It's going to be the standard stuff. Endpoint, nothing out of the ordinary for them. Nothing they've not rehearsed. They are a very well strung out team in terms of that rehearsal. Imi is a very set leader, but he's also good at being dynamic on the fly. That multi-talented affair could be something we see the awards come out and play. So far, though, it is going to be FM just slapping away into this round, responding quicker than ever. A quick 4 frags. You blink, you miss it. Is Imi that leader? It's the last man remaining.
He will find one frag onto Fry. Pulse may be able to just shut this down, but FM, one thing they haven't really done on their T side was quickly challenge B on these gun rounds, and so they changed it up in such a crucial time, this last overtime, this crucial hour, and they will find the return. It's 16-16 now as we come into this final round of the first half of this first overtime. I say that because these teams are so close. They're not ready to give up yet, and none have shown that they have a true hold of the game just yet. Neilzinho will find Snodso, the AWPer down. Rickson has one of his own, though. Maybe crucial for his team. Once more, this A aggression for FM as they push up closer. Pulse just peeking on in towards short. The Molotov to make sure quad isn't an issue. Dezio is inching up now that Molotov is down. Looking to challenge. Challenge he will. One-on-one. Trades once more. Here comes Pulse. The man who's held his team together. Dirty bomb indeed, and Weber to find another. It's Rickson and an AWP, the final round of this half. Of course he challenges, of course he goes for it. But against 4, what can he do? His dream may just be shut down before he even makes it to the site. It's Fry to finish it off. 17-16 this first half of overtime. And FM in the lead.
Endpoint beginning to get themselves back up against that wall, trying to bring things back. Look at their journey through UK Masters Season 2. Look at what got them to that second place then. Now it's the time for that first. They beat out Kaz. They beat out FM in the group stages. They 2-0'd them. Then when it came to the finals, we saw a swift dismantlement for FM. And that story is coming back now. We're right here witnessing it firsthand. 17-16. We're in the group stage side of things. But how is this going to go? Endpoint. They need at least a round to equalize them from there. They then got to bring it back, but there's a chance that FM just shut this one down on their CT side. We saw strength from them there. Either way, it begins, and that's what counts. Rickson going to be looking to do the damage over on towards Boiler. Peeks on out a little bit, sees to try and get himself a bit of information here and there, and then withdraws back, staring at the door frame, waiting to see if Nilzinho is going to walk on past and give him that window of opportunities, and a flash to be popped, another opportunity for him to reface as smoke is going to go down now, acting as a bit of a perfect shroud, guiding him towards quad, as Nilzinho just going to spray right into him. What a frag! What an early advantage for the FM side as they build up now to try and hold off this push coming in towards Banana. Endpoint ready and waiting to rev on through, but it's going to be tough. As Pulse with the AWP, he gets first blood here in terms of this push, and it all but falls apart.
Certainly does. Pulse in prime position, a second Molotov to hold them all back, but a good peek from Mighty Max to spray down, and now this B site vulnerable. It's on Stan Lee. This quick rotate from Weber from CT and AWP in hand, but the Molotov, it's burning. Stan is putting him right down. The smoke will go down, and Mighty Max able to finish the job. Weber, he's pushed into Church, but Snods is behind, and he'll hold this together. The bomb to be planted. It's Fry and Weber with a second for himself. Just the first, sorry. The bomb ticking. Diffuse kits on both. Snods able to win that duel. They did both land the shot, but it was Snods who killed Fry in a 1 versus 2. A tricky scenario. No kit. No smoke even. He has the kit. Just trying to find something for himself. He won't. As he pushes aggressively, he finds Mighty Max. Now he needs to trade that trade against Ian. Imi behind him, waiting for the defuse. Here comes the stick. Imi needs to peek. He needs to peek now, and he will. And he stops defusing, which means that he will not be able to stop the bomb. Wins the trade, but what does it matter? That's a point for Endpoint.
The rounds are everything right now. Frags and all that stuff, all the economy talk you heard when we were in normal time, throw that out the window because nobody cares anymore. Now, it's all about these two teams, and every round, every frag holds all the more importance. At 17-17, this is closer than we've seen before. Endpoint at wit's end, but they're the ones still swinging. They're the ones to inch it back into play. They don't want FM to get this one done and dusted in the first set of overtime. Pulse set up though to have an impact here. A flash is going to go off, but he tries to fall back, tries to avoid it, but it doesn't quite do enough. He's still blinded. He still has to withdraw. Endpoint creeping up towards Banana, ready and waiting to strike. But it's got to be calculated. It's got to be well thought out. There's even one screw up, one mistake, one player caught out of place allows FM that chance back into the round, and already Pulse starts off, gets that first frag on towards Snods.
This is the first overtime FM have played in the entirety of the season here in UK Masters. Team Endpoint, they had one against Excel in the middle of the season, but they were able to take the point for themselves. And now, here, a chance for FM to show why they are in first right now. A chance to show why they won Season 2 of the UK Masters. This roster so strong, has been so solid for such a long time. But Endpoint have a chance to shut it down and take this first map like they did before. The site coming in, they're pushing on. Pulse hasn't been spotted, and you'll find Mighty Max Stanley holding firm, and it is just this nightmare for Endpoint as the two-man crew sweep through and find 4. 18-17, the last round of this overtime. It all comes down to this. Can Team Endpoint equalize the score to bring us to a second? Will FM push us into overtime and take the map?
Two very different realities, but we're about to have that one answered for us. Are we going to a second set of overtime? As here we go, already early aggression coming in towards Banana in the form of utility, as it is going to be some frag grenades, some molotovs. Both players actually staring each other in the fire. Look at Weber, look how close he is. FM, they want to end this one right here, right now. But Ian, Imi, they spot each other out, and he gets himself that frag. Imi to do the work. Frido, Stanley both responding. 2 kills for the CT side. And Stanley withdraws back up towards the tips of Banana now. FM, they know they've got the advantage. Remove that aggression. Full back. Be passive. You have the lead. You have control. Endpoint, you can try and dictate some play now. You have to set up on towards the site.
They did this in the 13th or 14th round of this game. The aggressive push into mid, just putting Team Endpoint into a barrel and pushing them around a little bit. The bully play from FM. And it worked out so great this time, though. They don't go for that snap of the neck. They're putting Endpoint in a misery position, as Endpoint are making their way up towards B, but the rotate's already there. It's a 2 versus 3. FM split across. The smoke goes down to make this even slower. There's 40 seconds left. Nilzinho rotating to Church. It's going to be just this one player, Stan Lee, in position to watch for the cross. The Molotov goes out, will push him out. He's burning alive, but Nilzinho has the crossfire and he'll find one. It's a trade, but the rotates are coming. They need to make a move here, Endpoint. They need to get in here, and they will. FM will allow them. They want to make this a 3 versus 2. They want to have the trade, and the trade is there. Nilzinho, Mighty Max, all by himself. He needs to hold this together here, Flakes. He's a 1 versus 2, and he has 23 HP. And a task so impossible, but perhaps Endpoint can keep it together here. Looking, peeking, they're all coming from Church. There's going to be a double face here from FM eSports. The first, though, goes Mighty Max. Can he get the second? Bomb goes down. Are they defusing this? No, he's not. Mighty Max will find the frag. We're going to a second overtime.
Here we go again. The entire roller coaster starts here. Board the riot, get yourself going, because the madness has only just begun. We are going to that second set of overtime. Endpoint, the team to force it through. FM trying to show up on that CT side yet again, and this is where they have to try and make it happen. They're trying to shut it down with an aggression, but as you said, they couldn't quite snap that neck. 18-18, all to play for. Already, we're seeing that build up from Endpoint, looking for that early pick with the AW. They're bearing down towards Banana, or bearing up, should we say. But FM not facing. FM very, very passive. Weber, the only man to be walking into an angle, as he caresses it with that AWP. So far, just a double up setup for FM, but it's led to nothing. It's led to 0 picks. The problem with a double up setup, you don't get the picks, you start to lose that value. You do not want to be a CT side on the retake with a setup such as that. It's early round prominence, mid-round prominence you could say, but certainly not late round.
This is such a fascinating game to watch, as the lock horns, they battle out, no one wanting to give up ground, but it's Endpoint, the game that was to win, thrown into this double overtime now. Will they be able to come out of this black hole victorious? Pulse, the orb, will find Ezio. Looking for more as the smokes give them a path, but they're all jumping up straight into the crosshair, and Pulse looking for a third will not come through. Rixon finally shuts them down, but Stanley's still there. And over on the other side, Nilzinho taking down this flank. Snods pushes on in. The bomb to be planted. Weber there from Church. Won't be able to find a frag. It's another 2 versus 3 as we get this one started, but the bomb has still not been planted. And FM, they know it's in B.
Rixon, gonna get it down. Alright, you can see him ready to pop off that flash, tries to give himself a bit of a window of opportunity to peek, but Rixon is going to deny it, gets himself that opening headshot. Now things get a little bit tougher for the CT side. Rixon ready to step up to the plate, wanting to trump right into his opposition. Just not staring dead set towards Church, but that's not the angle he needs. He needs to peek out, but Weber going to find the first. Rixon trying to do it all. So close, but so far. But Weber with the pistol will take him down. Gets himself straight on that defuse, and FM, they get the first round of overtime off the back of a huge play from Weber with the pistol. The sidearm reigning supreme as Rixon tries to do all of the work for Endpoint. But a quadra kill, it's just not quite enough. He needed the ace there. And that is one player being shoved too far into the spotlight. Endpoint, you've got to be a team game. We praised you and your scoreline in terms of the board. We praised that. We said you are together. There is no one player carrying you forward. That's got to be apparent in these rounds. It can't just be one man up against the world.
FM with that first round of the second overtime. Now looking to try and build a lead for themselves. This game so close. Only rounds between these two teams. Never really a massive gap. Apart from that early dominance we saw from Team Endpoint. Now FM holding fast. Not wanting to let go of this roller coaster that we're on. They've trapped once more. Endpoint into mid. It's a consistent move here from FM. Both teams like to do it, as it puts so much pressure on the T side to make a move. Endpoint just not knowing where to go. They have no control of the map. They have no idea of the positions FM are holding. They have an idea, of course, but they don't know exactly.
I mean, they've played 30 rounds on top of all of this overtime. There should be a read in place, a mechanism that points towards an idea of what they are going to be approaching. That's Pulse, the man of the hour with this AWP. He's going to be the anchor towards B, but he's also going to be a player that refused to be faced. As Endpoint, they want to hit towards A. They're ready to push on out. They're going to be facing straight towards Archage, clearing it out. Quad as well, also to be cleared. Rickson going to drop down a smoke in reflex, but so far not so good, as Fry just getting a free peek. It's not good at all, but a crossfire in place, as with 15 seconds left. It's T-side, they've got to go fast now. Things are getting a bit more rough. Fry, he just peeks out with the M4, and he can just do so much. It goes to the spray down. Eventually, Ezio will trade him, but Weber with the AWP to take down Ezio is just so important. 3 seconds left. This round is done. FM, they will get themselves another on the board. Endpoint spending too much time trying to get to that site. Snods gets a double kill at the end, brings it to a 1 versus 1. But with 3 seconds left, FM, they just ran to the hills. They tried to get as many players as they could off of that site, out of the action, take them to a safe haven. As FM now, they are in control on their CT side. 2 rounds up, 20-18. Endpoint, really need to show yourself now before you get pushed too far into the shadows.
FM, as you said, one more. They head into the second half, and a single round will be victory for them. It's all on Endpoint here to show us what they've got. They've fallen right back. They're holding back. They're not showing anything. They're not taking control of the map. They're not pushing for aggression. They're just being passive. The smoke goes down, though. They do cross Stanley up close, and the Molotov will trap him in position, but it's not going to do any damage. They're trying to spray forward. They're trying to find a frag. Praying for something that just will not come to them. Now, where can Endpoint go? Ian to push forward. Stanley has fallen back. Endpoint wanting to go up banana here. The nades will hold them in possession. They're still pushing forward here, Flakes, and the rotates haven't come from FM just yet. Rickson on the other side of the map will look to try and catch them in rotation, but Ian going to be the charge forward to find Stanley. Pulse will drop Ian. Imi not able to do enough, but Mighty Max from atop will find the headshot. And it's a 4 versus 2. The site taken here, and Rickson just causing so much trouble for Weber as he sprays him down. Only Nilzinho left alive as he makes his way up from Banana. A 1 versus 4 for Nilzinho. Wow. FN not quite able to get that last point on the board just yet. Endpoint aren't ready to give up.
He's trying. He's pushing. But surely not. Surely this is impossible. And it will be answered as just that. Snods will take him down. Endpoint, they get themselves their 19th round on the board. But it is just that, their 19th. Still so close. Just 1 round, all the difference. Who is going to come out on top? It's the question of the hour right now. Nobody knows. You could chalk it up to 4-5 if you want to remove those last 30. As that's currently where we stand. 2 teams neck and neck. 2 teams champion in nature. But only one can be the runner-up of this first match. Only one can set themselves on the back foot for a potential draw, depending on how Mirage will go. It's all or nothing now, yet again, in this second set of overtime. Are you going to force us to a third even? Is that what we need to get ourselves a victor? There's already Banana going to be a big point of contention. Weber charging on forward, finds himself 1, but doesn't spot up Mighty Max. Mighty Max there, ready to peek. If he spots in reflex here, this could be huge. Imi peeking out on towards Fry. Now he's just another frag on the side of Endpoint. To a 4 versus 4, so already there's that reflex play coming in, but it's not from Mighty Max. And that's a positive. That means his position is unknown. That means he can go back to being the anchor of the B site and not have to worry about all the stresses of what's going down over at A.
FM, once more, they spread across the map. Their initial pushes weren't rewarded. They're in this 4 versus 4, but here comes the attack towards A. And Snods, his AWP on long, could just hold it all together. For Endpoint, like we've seen so many times, Stanley looking to face on up. But will they go for it? The bomb's been traded back once more. Oh, we've seen this before here. As Pulse makes his way over towards B, and now they're making their way up long, trying to just push this AWP out of play. FM, they want to go towards this B site, but they're holding fast. 27 seconds, and Snods, he's holding this arch position. He's learnt his mistake. He wants to make sure the backstab doesn't come, but Stanley's in library, and it's all done. Mighty Max, the only man on this site, trying to hold fast against Pulse, but Pulse will take him down. The bomb to be planted in the 12th second, and this rotate from SEO and IMI just so far behind. Team Endpoint, they have the defuse kits, but will they even go for it? No, they're just going to save up as he knifes the floor in frustration. 21-19 the score to be. Endpoint not able to make it work.
It's getting rough now, Endpoint. Instead of just playing for one round to bring it back and force the hand of their opposition, force the hand of this matchup, it's going to be a whole lot more now. We're looking to double down for FM eSports. They're going to get themselves their 21st. One away from ending all of this madness. Let's see how this is going to go.
The rifle saves are solid from Endpoint. Of course, the problem with 10k is that you can end up in a scenario where you just don't have money.
You just have to opt for the UMPs and utility if you want utility.
That's not what they're doing, because they understand this next round, this match point, is their last chance. So the double AWP comes out, a full investment from Endpoint, and now they're going to try and hold fast with Snods and Mighty Max on these AWPs. It's a quick play, though, from FM as they push up, but Mighty Max able to respond it. We find a second no. Fry there and waiting. Now Ezio trying to trade onto Pulse, but it just doesn't happen. Pulse just on fire, not to be stopped. Emmy, can you shut him down? From Abs, no, not yet. And now FM able to push onto this A site, uncontested as Pulse finds another, his second of the round, and this just could be it. Team Endpoint, Snods and Rickson, it's on you, but it's only on this newcomer, this substitute against 4, and there's just nothing that he can do of substance. He was relied on so many times to clutch it out. Just impossible scenarios, and now as he gets sprayed down by 2, a first will go his way, Weber, but he's got the backstab coming. He's under so much pressure. There's the defuse kit. He has the utility, but he needs to take down 3. The bomb's right in front of him. Can he get it? He finds a second, but a second's not enough. There it is, 22-19. FM win the game. In a second overtime here, Flakes, a love affair of these UK organisations, finally put to rest by FM as they take the first map